Hello, thanks for watching. So, part one of the medieval clock project. I don't know how it's going to end yet. I don't even know exactly in what direction it's going to go yet. But let's take a look at some bits and pieces that have come in the post. I think I'm going to be able to come up with some ideas here. I was talking a little bit about this in the video about the clock bowl the other day, which is happily ticking in my kitchen. In fact, it doesn't really tick. It's a silent Seiko sweep mechanism. It's a cheap Chinese copy of it, but that's essentially what it is, the Seiko Silent Sweep. Just much cheaper, and I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's been going a long time now. Actually, a good week or so. So I think if it was going to expire, it would have done so now. But I really want to make a medieval kind of a clock. I'm tantalising with my unboxing knife here, but first let me show you this. This is going to be the maquette, which is a good way of, if you want to do something with a bit of an arty look or complicated, and this is more arty than complicated, it should be fairly straightforward once I've worked out what to do. But it's good to make a maquette to begin with. You can save yourself a lot of effort just in the general look of the thing, how it looks, and you can often find out any obvious flaws or problems. So first of all, here's the bowl, which it's a green turned rough bowl at the moment, and it's what's it made out of? Sycamore. It's called quilted sycamore, and it kind of flashes almost as it goes round on the lathe. It looks like tiger maple, a lot like tiger maple. It's just that in UK we don't really grow maple, we get sycamore. That's what nature gives us. And here's some more good old British wood, and this is what I'm going to use for the maquette. Now I've just drawn on there roughly the shape I want. I want columns either side of it, possibly columns above and below as well. The face taking up roughly this much, and I'm actually going to put this on the lathe and cut this shape out of it if I can. I'm going to have to true off the edges because you can see the edges there. It's just a scrap of wood, but there's one true face there. That is absolutely as it was planed, and I measured that. That's lovely and flat. So I'm going to work off that as my datum. That'll be my master face, as it were, and that'll be my master line for the front. And having marked it out, I'll take it out into the shed, sand it off a bit. But that is coming later. First of all, let's look at what we've got. Now, I've shown you this bowl. I've no idea if it'll actually still have its wooden look by the end. I'd quite like it to, but we are going for a medieval look. And they kind of took wood for granted in those days, simply because it was the plastic of its time. It's all there was, and you can do a lot with wood. You can mould it, you can shape it. For example, right, did you know you can make a spade handle out of wood and dig really hard in the ground without snapping it? Happens all the time. You can buy them on, I think you can buy them on eBay. Carpenters make them, but they're made in factories as well. It's just we prefer metal or plastic for a spade handle, because I don't know why we prefer plastic really, but somehow it seems to be stronger, somehow it seems to last longer. 9 times out of 10 it doesn't. But anyway, yes, wood was the plastic of the day, and they didn't care too much about it, the beautiful look of it. Many people understood it, but then as now, it was a kind of a thing to be used, a utility. And so people didn't care so much, and most of the clock faces that I want to replicate, or at least get a flavour of in this clock, were painted usually a kind of powdery blue colour, I think. And my obsession here comes from a church clock in Northumberland, the village of Allendale, this beautiful country village where I went when I was a very small child. And I remember coming out of the woods, there was this sort of woodland walk that went down by a riverside as well. Allendale is a beautiful place. You must go there if you can, if you're anywhere near it. Or, if you're coming to tour around the north of Britain, it's a great church to go to, St Cuthbert's Allendale. And it had this clock right up at the top of the tower, which is still there. And it was very striking to me as a small child. I imagined that's how it had always looked. I imagined that it came from the Middle Ages. Well, there might have been a clock there that long, I don't know, but I have actually looked on Google, and around about kind of I think it's 1917 or 1919, there's the same clock there with a very Victorian looking black and gold painted wooden face. So they've obviously painted it probably not long before I saw it, but it looked ancient to me, and that's what I liked about it. And I just want this clock to look ancient. It goes together in quite an interesting way. It's got this brass knob right on the end, which I'm going to remove. Now that looks as if I wanted a second hand on there, I would have to leave that brass knob off. I think that's just to cover it in case I only want 2 hands. Well, I only want 1 hand, so there might be some adapting needed there, who knows. I'm sure that this tiny little washer in here, or whatever it is, it might even be a nut. It's so small I can't see it, but that little thing there, which you still probably can't see actually, but I promise you it's in there. It seems to be exactly the size to go around this, where are we, which has a thread on it. I'll come up as close as I can. Don't know if you can even focus like that actually. Can you focus on that? It's not having it, but it is threaded. And here we have a threaded insert, which I guess is to account for different material thicknesses. It fits right over, almost to the very top of what looks to me like the boss for the hour hand, and it's the hour hand I want, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to use it, but I think it's just for getting you through a thin material. And I guess you would have to make a hand, or possibly use an off-the-shelf hand, which is actually has the flange which would dip down into the little rim around that there. So it all comes off and it leaves us with that, which is the basic working mechanism. And you can see, right, let me show you it against the sheet of blue plastic here. This is 5mm thick perspex. It's the same thickness that I used in the plastic perspex offcut that I used in the unique black horrible looking clock. Actually not very nice looking clock, and I'm going to do some more work to it, but see, that's going to stick right through. I don't know, I mean, there must be some way that the hour hand can work on these things, so I've no doubt that's long enough somehow to do the business. So let's put a battery in and see what it does. It's a nice, well-made thing. Looks pretty good to me. I'm wondering, is it going to make a noise though? Because I really like the silent sweep. I know the medieval clocks made a huge noise, but it wasn't anything like the noise these things make. So what have we got? Oh yeah, it's going. I'm going to have to hold it right up to the microphone. Now, I don't know if you could even hear that. It is very silent. It's ticking, but you have to put your ear right up to it to hear it, so that's brilliant. It's got quite a lot more sticking out of it here. You know, enough meat to play with, shall we say. Obviously, I'll have to make the back of this bowl a lot thinner for it to fit through and stick out the other side. Very much thinner, actually, because there's also going to be a face plate thing on it. I'm not sure what you call it. But I'm using this plastic sheet, and you can see the colour of it in the side there. It's more dark and more purpley than I really want, but I believe when I've put it on the lathe and sandpapered it, I'm probably only going to take it to about 320 grit, something like that, and then it will reflect a lot more light. I think it'll look more like the powder blue that I want, and rather like the kind of indigo dye in denim. It's so striking because the bits you don't see really are the little white flashes in between the indigo, and I think I'm going to get that indigo look with the white flashes of having been sandpapered. That's my plan anyway. This stuff comes with a show face. It costs $6.95 a sheet on eBay, and it comes by Royal Mail, so you don't have to worry about couriers deciding you're not in and not wanting to, you know, come to your front door or whatever. Now this is something else we've got with the clock kit here. I'm still not sure exactly what it is, but we've got a big rubber washer to go over the face. This thing as well. And what else is in there? I can see it, but can you? There we go, look. There's a tiny little brass ring in there. So that's going to be a voyage of discovery. I'm going to have to go out to the shed and do some work before I can really say any more about that. But the first thing to do, right, the plate that I want to put on the face in the middle of this bowl is going to leave me more than enough to make exactly the same thing in miniature to go on this one. And my plan at this moment is to give this clock away to one lucky subscriber. So get subscribing, guys, if you wouldn't mind. It is not a really big clock. Let's have a look at how big it is. I mean, this one, right, just hold that up so you can see. We've actually got over 8 inches in the middle, and it's going to be wider because as I turn it to get rid of the ovaling, this is going to be a lot narrower, and it's going to stand inside. You see where the tape measure is where the wood's going to come along, so it's going to just be sticking out of a wooden frame, basically. That's the plan. But the best laid plans of mice and men will go awry so often, won't they? Anyway, I have not got a decent pencil, so let's just quickly sharpen this one. It's another good use for a rough bowl. It doesn't really matter how dirty or messed up this bowl gets at the moment, because it's going to go on the lathe and be turned down into something much more manageable, smooth, I suppose. Something smoother and slicker is what I'm saying, but it becomes more manageable, and then we'll know exactly what sort of hole we want to make in the wooden box that surrounds it, what kind of frame that box wants, and a lot of details which we can't tell from just sitting here and kind of guessing and making an idea about it. So there we go, I've got my pencil nice and sharp now. More coming up in part 2. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs down if you thought it was rubbish. I don't mind. It's all part of my audience engagement, so you know what to do. Enjoy, folks. Bye.